My mother's a cannibal, and I think I'm her next target. When I woke up at around 10 a.m. it would usually be loud and busy, with traffic outside my window and my family wandering around the house. But this morning it was eerily quiet. There wasn't even the sound of birds chirping outside. It was dead silent. It thought it was a little weird, but I tried to ignore it and go back to sleep. I couldn't sleep. I kind of felt like I was being watched, but that was just being paranoid, right? I decided to get up, and I really wish I never did. I walked into my kitchen to find my mother grabbing at my dad's face, ripping it off in pieces. She had torn off his tan outer skin layer entirely, revealing the dermis layer of his face. She smiled impossibly wide and tilted her head a little bit. My mother brought the skin to her mouth, and I forced myself to look as she stuffed the skin into her mouth, giggled, and swallowed it. I was doubled over, disgusted, but she seemed unbothered. She tore into his muscle and ripped off large, bloody chunks and looked into her husband's lifeless eyes. I had to hold back vomit, but she was so calm. My sister was still in her room sleeping peacefully. How would I tell her? What would I tell her? That her mom had just eaten my fucking dad? I stood there in the kitchen for a good 15 minutes, debating what to do. Maybe I should get my sister and leave. Call my girlfriend? I tried to walk back to my bedroom to get my phone, but I felt frozen in place. I couldn't bring my legs to move. Just then my sister opened her door, and I knew I needed to make a decision right then. I walked calmly to my room, not sure what would said of my mother, grabbed my phone and keys, and then whispered to my sister, barely audible, "I don't think that's our mom anymore, and I really need you to trust me." She understood the urgency of the whole situation, and I grabbed her hand and sprinted towards the door, running faster than I thought I was capable of. Pure adrenaline was pumping through my veins. My only concern, me and my sister's safety. I jumped into my car and sped off immediately, the no seatbelt alarm beeping, but the rest of the world still silent. I hardly noticed though. I was so focused on getting as far away as possible. I drove to the only place I knew, my girlfriend's house. I knew how terrified my sister must be. I mean, I would be terrified if my older sister, who was supposed to be my example, was gripping the steering wheel so tight her knuckles were white and tears streaming down her face. I pulled into the driveway and we walked straight to her door. It was unlocked. Weird. I walked in and called out my girlfriend's name, but she didn't answer. Instead, I heard this maniacal laugh that made me stop in my tracks. I could feel my heart practically pounding out of my chest, but something told me to go up the stairs. I was only a few steps up when I saw something absolutely horrifying. The living room painted in thick crimson liquid, what appeared to be organs scattered across the floor. And who was once my girlfriend sat cross-legged in the middle of everything, her face coated in the same crimson. She had the same too wide smile plastered across her face as my mom had. I was so overcome with every emotion you could think of. Terror, anger, sadness. I couldn't bring myself to leave. My sister had fallen to her knees, her nose pouring blood from crying so hard, and her once white jeans now painted red. To my absolute horror, the monster sat in front of me, looked me dead in the eyes. She stopped laughing and stared into my soul, then at my sister. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I wanted to tell her to take me, but not my sister. She was just a kid. But that didn't stop her. She slowly approached the absolutely petrified child standing behind me, holding onto my legs, crawling on all fours like a wild animal, before pouncing on top of her. I fell to my knees as I heard the sickening sound of her teeth meeting my baby sister's soft skin. Her animalistic behavior was horrifying. She bit chunks of skin out of my poor sister's skin, eventually reaching her organs and giggling like a toddler. The next thing I remembered, I was waking up on the blood-soaked carpet, wincing in pain every time I moved. I sat up examining my scratched-up body and glancing around the room. I could hear the sounds of usual traffic outside, the birds' faint chirping, and the news playing on the TV in the room I was in. I looked up at the TV just to see 5 horrifying words printed across the screen, surrounded by static. "We're coming for you next."